Hi guys, this is going to be a quick add-on or response or sort of addendum to my last video about ways that religions perpetuate themselves, because it was one way I totally forgot to mention. I'd written it down and planned for it and did a little research on it, sort of, but I just totally forgot. But yeah, anyways, one way that religions continue to perpetuate and procreate themselves, is by way of creating a culture that is conducive to that, and a culture that is also not conducive to deviation from the religion. Basically, the religions or the people that follow religions create a culture in which you are not allowed to go against the religion, so that you're basically forced to follow it, and then the religion is carried on through the population, through reproduction of people, through generation to generation, and from that point it goes on and on. A good example of this would be Islam and a lot of the Muslim world, where it is the religion is very much tied into the culture, and it is very dishonorable or looked down upon to apostatize or to abandon the religion. Usually that is by tradition, although there is some Islamic law found both inside and outside of the Quran that basically says that there are punishments for abandoning Islam. Some are as extreme as death, and there is one verse in the Quran that, to a certain degree, although it's kind of debatable, mandates that people who abandon Islam should be killed. And basically things like that, they basically encourage people, or they deter people from abandoning them, basically by threatening them, and creating sort of a fear that, even if you don't really believe the religion, you can't really formally say that you renounce it or go away from it, because you fear that you'll be either killed or at least, ostracized or alienated from your people, and, cut off and or possibly exiled. Excuse me. Sorry, soda. This is, like I said, is very common in the Islamic world. More extreme in some parts than the others. This is also found in parts of the Christian world too. For example, with me, like, my parents were Christian, and I was always afraid. Like, there was a period once I started beginning to really question the religion, once I really began to fall away from it. I wasn't really honest with my parents about it. I didn't tell them. I didn't sort of come out, because I was afraid that they would get mad, that they would disown me or cut me off, and stop paying most of my college tuition, and I'd be on my own. And so it was a long time before I did that, and thankfully they were pretty cool about it when I did. I mean, they were not happy. They were mad, but they, as reasonable people, they did not, cut me off or anything, and they did not, disown me. But in a lot of places, though, that is the case, though. In America, in a lot of places, like very conservative places like the South, or the Bible Belt in the Midwest, and that in general, it's sort of a way that it's sort of also not just religions, but just like any sort of conservative culture or conservative or tradition-based culture, that basically goes on in the form that, a very, just by nature of a sort of conservative culture or ideology, seeks that, your children should also follow it, and that your children should not be allowed to deviate from it. I always suspect that in America we have sort of the liberal and the conservative sort of spectrum, and obviously it's not as black and white as that, but I always feel like if you have liberal parents, then you might grow. If your parents are liberal, then you might grow up to be liberal, but you also might grow up to not be liberal, and you might not grow up to have the same views as them. Just because liberal just kind of means more open-minded. But if you have conservative parents, then you're much more likely to grow up to be, conservative, have those conservative views. And that's just the nature of any sort of conservative culture or ideology, and obviously it applies to religions as well. So yeah, that's basically it. Religions can also seek to perpetuate themselves by creating a culture where it is just not acceptable to not continue the religion. So, and by proxy it does, just by continuation through generations and children. So yeah, thanks. Peace out.